Hello, my name is Armiti Azadmanesh. My GitHub username is as mentioned, and edX username as well. Today is 6th of February 2026, and I'm gonna talk about a multi-stage phishing campaign that targeted Russia with amnesia rat and ransomware, which its source is the Hacker News site. Phishing is one of the oldest yet most effective cyber attacks, and despite years of security improvements, it remains the leading cause of data breaches worldwide. In January 2026, security researchers uncovered a highly sophisticated multi-stage phishing campaign that abused trusted cloud infrastructure to steal user credentials. In this presentation, we'll analyze how this attack worked, why it was effective, and what lessons can be learned to defend against threats in the future. This phishing campaign is practically important because it represents a shift in how attackers exploit trust. Instead of using obviously malicious domains or suspicious emails, the attackers relied on legitimate cloud services such as Google Cloud to host and distribute malicious content. As a result, traditional email filters and domain-based defenses failed to detect the attack, increasing the likelihood of user compromise. This campaign follows a multi-stage structure in which the victim is gradually guided through a controlled sequence of interactions. Instead of delivering malicious content in a single step, the attackers distribute the process across multiple stages, each appearing winning on its own. The flow begins with initial user engagement and continues through intermediary steps before reaching the final objective. This layered approach allows the attack to progress smoothly while reducing the likelihood of early detection. From the user's perspective, the experience feels continuous and coherent, masking the underlying malicious intent. At a high level, the attack demonstrates how modern phishing operations rely on gradual progression rather than immediate exploitation, using structure and pacing as core elements of their strategy. The first stage focuses on establishing contact with the victim and prompt interaction. Attackers deliver a phishing message crafted to resemble a routine or expected communication, encouraging the receipt to take action, such as reviewing a document or addressing account-related business. At this stage, the primary objective is not credential theft but engagement. The message is designed to appear credible and relevant, lowering the victim's suspicion and motivating them to follow the provided link. No visible signs of malicious activity are presented, allowing the attack to proceed without immediate resistance. This stage serves as the entry point to the campaign, initiating the sequence without revealing its ultimate goal. In the second stage, the victim is moved away from the initial message and guided through one or more intermediary locations. These steps function as transitions rather than endpoints, helping the attackers control the pace and direction of the interaction. The intermediary pages act as bridge between the initial content and the final destination. They maintain continuity in the user experience while concealing the final purpose of the attack. At this point, the victim is still unaware that they are participating in a phishing attempt. This stage is essential for maintaining credibility and ensuring that the victim remains engaged as the attack progresses towards its final phase. The third and final stage is where the attack reaches its intended objective. The victim is presented with an authentication interface that closely resembles a legitimate login page associated with a commonly used service. Believing their request to be authentic, the victim enters their credentials, which are then collected by the attackers. From the user's perspective, this step appears to be a natural conclusion of the previous interactions, completing the sequence initiated in their earlier stages. This stage marks the completion of the attack flow, transforming users' trust into direct access to sensitive authentication information. The impact of this type of phishing attack can be severe. Compromised credentials may lead to account takeovers, business email compromise, data exfiltration, and lateral movement within an organization. For enterprises, this often results in financial loss, operational distribution, and reputational damage. This highlights how a single successful phishing email can trigger large-scale security incidents. Traditional security controls were ineffective against this campaign for several reasons. First, the use of trusted cloud domains reduced suspicion at both the technical and human levels. Second, the multi-stage nature of the attack made automated detection more difficult. Finally, human trust and cognitive bias played a central role as users associated well-known brands and services with safety. Defending against modern multi-stage phishing campaigns requires a layered and adaptive security approach. Because these attacks are designed to exploit trust, evade traditional detection mechanisms, and rely on user interaction, no single defensive measure is sufficient on its own. Instead, effective mitigation must combine technical controls, organizational policies, and user awareness. At the technical level, organizations must move beyond static, reputation-based filtering. Since attackers increasingly abuse trusted infrastructure and legitimate services, security systems should prioritize behavioral and contextual analysis. This includes evaluating redirect chains, detecting abnormal authentication patterns, and monitoring access attempts for inconsistencies in location, device, or timing. Phishing-resistant authentication methods such as hardware-backed or token-based MFA significantly reduce the effectiveness of credential harvesting attacks. From an organizational perspective, access control policies play a critical role. Conditional access mechanisms can limit the damage caused by compromised credentials by enforcing additional verification when risk indicators are detected. Segmenting access and applying this principle of least privilege further reduces the attack's ability to move laterally within an environment after an account is compromised. User-focused defenses remain equally important. While technical controls can reduce exposure, human interaction is often the final gate in phishing attacks. Continuous security awareness training helps users recognize suspicious patterns, understand that trusted branding does not guarantee safety, and question unexpected authentication requests. Rather than relying solely on warning signs, training should emphasize critical thinking and verification behaviors. Finally, effective defense requires ongoing evaluation and adaptation. Attack techniques evolve rapidly, and mitigation strategies must evolve alongside them. Regular monitoring, incident analysis, and feedback loops allow organizations to refine detection mechanisms and respond proactively to emerging phishing tactics. In summary, mitigating multi-stage phishing attacks depends on combining layered technical defenses, strong access controls, and informed users. Only by addressing the problem across multiple dimensions can organizations reduce the risk posed by increasingly sophisticated phishing campaigns. This case study demonstrates that modern phishing attacks no longer rely solely on deception, but instead weaponize trust itself. As attackers continue to abuse legitimate infrastructure, defenders must adapt by combining technical controls, user education, and adaptive security models. Ultimately, understanding how and why these attacks succeed is essential for building more resilient cybersecurity defenses.